Hi, and welcome to BeatleDave's Beatles channel. Today's video is episode 12 of my Beatles UK album series, so please come and join me. So yes, hello and a wonderfully warm welcome today to BeatleDave's Beatles channel. Hope I find all you fantastic people doing really well out there. Hope you've all had a fantastic week and thank you so much for joining me again today on the channel. Well, the subject for today's showing is the Beatles UK album series episode 12, which continues with the UK 1960s pressings of the Beatles LP Abbey Road, which was actually the last album recorded by the band, and of course it was issued just before their final LP, Let It Be. Actually, Abbey Road is really probably my favourite Beatles album after the White Album, and is actually really what I feel is the true fitting end to their fantastic recording career. So in this series, as previously mentioned, I will only be showing original pressings actually released between March 1963 and May 1970. Okay then, right now it's time for something completely different. It's Ask BeatleDave, yeah! So yes, welcome to Ask BeatleDave, where I'll be answering your questions that you have about anything Beatles related, about anything I've shown or haven't shown, perhaps about anything from their solo careers or about films or films they was in or produced, just about anything you can think of, and I'll endeavour to answer it right here. So today's question is from David Rainey. Hiya David, hope you're well my friend. And he asks, BeatleDave, what are your top 3 Apple artist albums? Okay now, so I've had to give this some really serious thought here. And after much deliberation, I've come up with the 3 choices which I feel would be the top 3. So in third place, my third choice is going to be Straight Up by Badfinger, an absolutely great album and a certain worthy contender to be in any of the top 3 positions. In second position, it's going to have to be James Taylor, which is a really great album by a fabulous singer-songwriter who through Apple got a really fantastic opportunity, and clearly he went on to develop his style and he obviously went on to greater things. And finally, my first choice, without doubt, is going to have to be Jackie Lomax, Is This What You Want? You know, I really love this album and I really feel it should have done much better than it did, but sadly it just wasn't to be. I know not everybody likes Jackie's voice, but I really like the album. And by the way, David's choices were in third position, Straight Up by Badfinger, Earth Song, Ocean Song was second by Mary Hopkin, and his first choice was James Taylor. So, David, I really hope that answers your question for you. And guys, if you want to get involved in Ask BeatleDave, why not just send me a question in the comments and I'll include it in a future episode. It's that simple. So why not get involved, please me, by asking me some super questions. Okay then guys, so moving on then, it's time for I Call Your Name. So yes, it's on to them old shout outs, and it's a great big BeatleDave hello to Armin Zink, It's Only Rock and Roll Podcast, Samoset 4 Beatles Vinyl, John Collier, Jesse Russell, Tom Auden, John and Paul Henderson. So that's a great big hi to all of you guys from yours truly, BeatleDave. So on to the main event then today guys, and we continue with the Beatles original UK album series episode 12 and of course the Abbey Road LP. So please come and join me. Abbey Road is the 11th studio album by the Beatles, released on the 26th of September 1969 and the following week in the USA on the 1st of October, reaching number 1 in both territories. After the recording sessions for the proposed Get Back album, Paul McCartney suggested to producer George Martin that the Beatles get together and make an album just like they used to. Martin did agree, provided that all the group, but particularly John, would allow him to produce as he did. The first sessions for Abbey Road began at Trident Studios on the 22nd of February 1969, only 3 weeks after the end of the Get Back project. However, sessions stalled until Ringo had finished work on the Magic Christian film with Peter Sellers. With some work continuing in April and May, they took an 8-week break until July, when recording continued all the way through to August, when the final backing track for Because was recorded. Overdubs continued through the month, with the final sequence of the album coming together on August the 20th, which was the last time all 4 Beatles were present in a studio together. Sessions were not entirely without arguments or tension, with Yoko being ever present in the studios. After Lennon and Ono were involved in a car accident, their doctor told Ono to rest, so John had a bed brought into the studio so she could still observe the recording process from there. Originally, the album's title was going to be called Everest, after the cigarettes that Geoff Emerick smoked. But at some point they decided upon Abbey Road, and to take a photo walking across the zebra crossing outside the studio. At around 11:30 on the 8th of August 1969, Ian Macmillan was given 10 minutes in which traffic was stopped so he could take one of the most iconic album sleeves ever made. With no mention of the album's title or band on the cover, EMI claimed without this information that the album simply wouldn't sell. On the 20th of September 1969, in a meeting minus George Harrison, John told Paul, Ringo and business manager Alan Klein he wanted a divorce and was leaving the band, 6 days before Abbey Road was released in the UK. Abbey Road sold 4 million copies in its first 2 months of release in the UK and debuted at number 1, where it remained for 11 weeks. Although being displaced for 1 week by the Rolling Stones LP Let It Bleed, it returned for a further 6 weeks at number 1. So let's take a look. So here it is then, the Beatles Abbey Road, first released in the UK on the 26th of September 1969 on Apple Records, catalogue number PCS 7088. And as you may or may not know, this is the final recorded album by the Beatles in 1969. Obviously, the Get Back and Let It Be saga continued to the following year, but I always feel that rightfully this would have been the perfect Beatles album to finish on. And what an absolutely iconic cover this really is. Fantastic cover. It's probably just unique really in itself, where it's just so simplistic that, you know, what else could you do calling it Abbey Road and actually walking across the crossing outside. Absolutely incredible. So we're going to take a look at the cover first then, and obviously if you're into the Paul is dead theory and all the clues that are on all the Beatles albums and things, this is probably one of the best that you can actually find with all certain clues. Obviously it's supposed to be showing a funeral procession here, with John in white as the priest. Ringo is supposed to be the undertaker. Obviously Paul, he's out of step there and he's smoking right-handed, but he's supposed to be obviously the corpse with no shoes on as well. And obviously George there, you've got George supposed to be the gravedigger in his denims, and behind that you've got the Beatle 28 If, the VW Beetle there. Quite an interesting theory that one, but nevertheless it's quite spooky, some of the clues actually. So what a fabulous sleeve then, this one. Really lovely laminate on this. Really good looking sleeve, lovely and shiny. And the guys, they give so much in all those years, and they just outgrew each other. The egos were getting too big for the band, and it was just time to move on. And you can see the actual guys, it's as if they're walking away from the studio for the last time. But it's such an iconic album. No mention of the Beatles, of course, or Abbey Road on the front, but it's still sold in its droves. Absolutely fantastic. Let's flip that over then. And of course on the back, you've got the Beatles there. You've got a crack running through where it says the Beatles to the right hand side in the S, indicating a crack in the group, or split in the group. And of course you've got this ghostly image there as well, if you can just about see that. Weird looking ghostly image. And then Abbey Road, Northwest 8 it would have said there if someone hadn't walked in front of the camera. And of course this is the Misaligned sleeve, where you can see the apple is not lined up with all the track listings on side 1 there, bottom left. And what a great album this really is. Got some absolutely standout tracks, especially from George. I mean, George really flourished on this album with Something and Here Comes the Sun. Absolutely beautiful songs. And you know, at one point John actually wanted all his songs on side 1 or side 2 and Paul's on the other side, so that was something that was talked about as well. And then we got at the bottom there, we've got an EMI recording Thanks to George Martin, Jeff Emmerich and Philip MacDonald. Photos by Ian Macmillan. And printed by Garrett and Lofthouse International Limited. Let's take a look at that spine. It's a really thin spine, this one, so hopefully you should be able to see it. Abbey Road, the Beatles, and then the catalogue number. So with the first issue then, we've got the black die-cut apple inner there, and that one's in super shape. There's no splits, really great. So on to the very first pressing then of Abbey Road. It's really quite a dark label, this one actually. It gets more harder to read the text towards the bottom. Obviously this is the very first stereo album released by the Beatles on its own. It's no mono version, except the UK reel-to-reel version. There was a fold-down mono issue. You can see that elsewhere on my channel, but I'll put a link on the top there so you can see that. Obviously on this issue, because it was post July 69, there's no sold in UK details there. But you've got the Apple records around the perimeter there, and you've got Abbey Road there below the stalk, with an EMI recording on the left with 33 1/3, manufactured in the UK and side 1. And over to the right there we've got stereo, PCS 7088 and the P1969, with all the tracks and the Beatles at the bottom, produced by George Martin. And the matrix on this side is YEX 749-2. And this is an absolutely beautiful copy, this one, really nice copy. Let's flip that over. Look at side 2. Now, obviously with the original very first pressing, there's no Her Majesty listed there on the label. But we've still got the Apple Records perimeter in there with Abbey Road just on the stalk there, bottom of the stalk. And you've got an EMI recording with 33 1/3, manufactured in the UK and side 2. And then on the right hand side you've got stereo with PCS 7088 and the P1969. Of course the matrix on side 2 is YEX 750-1, and this is one beautiful looking record, and it really is my second favourite Beatles album. It just really is fantastic. So on to my second pressing then of Abbey Road on Apple Records, catalogue number PCS 7088, and this would have been available from September 1969 all the way to the following year in September 1970. So this is basically the corrected press of the first pressing. So let's take a look at the cover then. So as you can see, it's another lovely laminated cover, this one. It's got a slight little bit of impression there, a little bit of ring wear, nothing major. Really nice cover. Slightly bigger image this one, as you can see, whereas the first issue is slightly more cropped. But still a nice looking cover. Let's flip that over. Once again there we've got the Beatles there. You've got that ghostly image to the right. You've got Abbey Road. We've got all the song titles there. Some really fantastic songs. I mean, what a great song. Come Together. Great start off track on side 1. Some really great songs, and something, obviously Maxwell's Silver Hammer was a bit of contention there between John and Paul. John really hated that song. Then you got Oh Darling, obviously a Ringo song there, Octopus's Garden, and I Want You, She's So Heavy, finishing that side, absolutely brilliant. Side 2, I mean, absolutely continues with more golden stuff. You got Here Comes the Sun, Because, You Never Give Me Your Money, Sun King, Mean Mr. Mustard, Polythene Pam, She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, Golden Slumbers, Carry That Way, and The End. And of course you got the Her Majesty tagged at the end as well there. Really beautiful cover, this one. So as you can see on this copy then, we've got the aligned apple, which is under the tracks there, all in a line, as opposed to the first version I showed, which has got the misaligned apple. Let's take a look at that spine then. And this one's a really nice spine, this one. So onto that black inner again then. This one's in lovely shape, although we've got a little sticker there, unfortunately. In fantastic shape though, this one. So onto the second pressing vinyl then. And once again, this is in absolutely superb shape. Another dark looking label, of course, but still just about legible to read there. You've got the Apple Records rim around the edge there and the perimeter, with the Abbey Road below the stalk. Then on the left we got an EMI recording, 33 1/3, manufactured in the UK, and side 1. And across there on the other side we got the stereo PCS 7088 and the P1969. And then we've got all the track listings there with the Beatles and produced by George Martin. And the matrix on this side is YEX 749-2. I'm going to flip that over. And on this particular label then, we've actually got Her Majesty listed as a song right at the bottom there, indicating that this is a second pressing. And then once again there we've got the Apple records around the perimeter with the Abbey Road title on the stalk. And on the left we've got an EMI recording, 33 1/3, manufactured in the UK, and side 2. And then on the right we've got the stereo, the PCS 7088 and the P1969. And then at the bottom we've got all the track listings with the Beatles, and almost you can't see it, but produced by George Martin. And finally the matrix on this side is YEX 750-1. A really beautiful looking album, this one, really nice copy. So thank you all for tuning in today, guys, and joining me. Really hope you've enjoyed seeing those fantastic original Abbey Road LPs. And as always, I appreciate any comments I get from any of you guys, and I will always reply to you just as soon as I can. So the Beatles Original UK Album Series will be back again next month with the final episode, and of course, it's the Let It Be album. There will, however, be a collective update episode after the final one showing even more LPs that I've collected since the beginning of this series. So there's even more rare variations to see then, guys. So look out for that one. So next week's video, I'm going to be starting a very new series called The Solo Years, the 70s. Well, obviously I'll be showing every single release in order by the guys. So just make sure you're here next week. Same Beatles time, same Beatles channel. So anyway, as always, if you enjoy what I'm doing, why not give us a like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future videos. This is BeatleDave signing off. BeatleDave.